Okay, so today we are gonna make banana bread. My kids love banana bread. I actually hate bananas. So again, my grandma, cute Levia, she came from the Depression era, and she would feed us bananas in the morning, and then she would, like, if we didn't eat them, she'd leave them unpeeled and try to serve them to us for lunch. And then if we didn't eat them at lunch, she'd try to feed them to us for dinner. Okay, so I have me and another sister who will not eat bananas because of that. I have another sister that loves bananas, and my dad loved bananas. You couldn't be at his house without him saying, "Here, have a banana, have a banana, have a banana." So every time we see bananas, we think of my dad. So anyway, but today we're gonna have banana bread. I have these bananas, which look disgusting, right? But this is exactly what you want to make the best banana bread, because the longer that they turn brown and get really gross looking, the sweeter they are. So the better they are for banana bread. I actually do like banana bread, even though I really don't like any other banana thing, because I think it's just like cake, because it's loaded with sugar. And so I'm like, hey, I can do bananas this way. It's healthy. So we're just gonna do a basic recipe. I follow my sister-in-law's recipe. It's amazing. And so we're just gonna start with 3/4 cup of oil and 1.5 cups of sugar. We're gonna blend that. Okay, so we just wanna mix this so it's combined. And then we're gonna add to that 2 eggs. So I like to beat them just a little bit. I always crack them in a bowl instead of cracking them in here, because there's always a chance you're gonna get eggshells in them. So my friend Donnie, when we were little, we hung out together all the time, and we made chocolate chip cookies about once a week. And one time we cracked our eggs and we got shells. We got shells in the cookies, and we were like, I'm sure it's gonna be fine. And so we just mixed it like really, really hard, and pretty much every cookie was crispy because we got a little bit of shell with every cookie. So I learned my lesson young. You don't want to get shells in your cookies or anything else you're making. So whip that, put that in, a teaspoon of vanilla. I'm sure pretty much everyone knows this, but your cap for your vanilla almost always just gonna be that teaspoonful, so you can just use that. I like good old just cheap imitation vanilla. I know there are some people that are all about the fancy vanillas, the real vanillas, the homemade vanillas, the Mexican vanillas. I don't. So I had a roommate in college that used Mexican vanilla in everything, and all I could taste was the Mexican vanilla. If that's what you like, perfect. I love it. Use that. But for me, this just works just as great, and I love it because it's not too overpowering with just vanilla. So we're gonna mix that in, beat it well. Now, here's the fun part. We're gonna put the bananas in a blender. Okay, so this is a sad looking blender, right? It's a Ninja, which is great. And my husband just wanted a nice blender. Like, he's always just wanted a nice blender. So I was following this influencer, and she was like, this is the best blender ever. And so I bought it. It was the worst blender ever. So it worked for like twice, and we hated it and couldn't get it to work. So I'm back to my cracked Ninja. I'm gonna have to find a new jar for it because I love it. It blends really well, but it's just cracked. So see, look at these bananas. Don't they look disgusting? But they are gonna make the yummiest banana bread. I know some people just kind of mash their bananas and put it in their bread. I, again, do not like chunky, like having chunky bananas in my bread is not my thing. So I like it nice and smooth, so you still get that banana flavor without chunks of banana in it. So we're just gonna mix it up in the blender, peel our bananas. This is really the only time I even touch bananas in my life. I don't like them in smoothies. I don't like them in anything. So it's gross. Because then, again, we don't like chunks in our food. So then you add you need a little spatula for this. You want 1.5 cups, which I've done this enough. It's about 4 bananas, 4 overripe bananas. And if I have lots of bananas, I'll double the batch because my kids go through this pretty fast. So there's that. We mix that up. Let it mix for a little bit. And now we've got our dry ingredients that we alternate with our milk. So this is buttermilk. This recipe calls for buttermilk. If you don't have buttermilk, a great tip is to just use regular milk that you have on hand and add like a half a teaspoon of white vinegar, and it'll kind of curdle it and make it sour like a buttermilk. So you don't have to go out and buy a buttermilk. It can get expensive. A lot of times they come in bigger containers, and so it goes bad before you can use it. So that's a great tip. If you need buttermilk and don't have it, just throw in your vinegar. Okay, so now I have 3 cups of flour here. It needs a teaspoon of soda. I'm just gonna add my soda to my flour. So there's my soda. And it calls for 1/4 teaspoon of salt, but I like mine a little bit saltier. For me, I feel like salt gives everything a richer flavor. And like, so when frosting's too sweet without that salty, I don't love it. And I feel like recipes just are richer and bring out the flavor more. So I'm doing a little bit, like a half and maybe a little bit more. So teaspoon of salt there. And then we're just gonna kind of, if you have a sifter, that's great. If you have like a little, if you have a sifter or a strainer, like the little strainers you use for canning, that's great too. You want to get some air incorporated, and then you can start putting it in to the mixer. Keep it on low or you're gonna have flour everywhere. I remember once I lived with my sister when I was engaged, and she was making a birthday cake for her son, and she was making blue frosting, and somehow the dye went everywhere, and I don't know if she was mixing it and mixed too fast, I don't know, but we had blue dye over that kitchen for weeks. We were cleaning up blue dye. So anyway, don't go too fast. You're gonna get flour or whatever everywhere if you go too fast. Okay, so now I'm gonna a little bit add my milk, and add my flour. Ooh, see, I'm getting a little, I do have a shill. I just don't use it very often because why take time with the shill? Okay. This is looking good. Finish my flour. We're gonna let that blend. We don't want to mix it too much. But we want it to be incorporated. And that's it. So this is what we want it to look like before we get it poured. Now, you can do banana bread, or my kids love banana muffins because they're just so easy to eat. They're quick on the run. They grab them before they go to school. So we're gonna do some muffins, and then we'll do 1 loaf of bread. This is a loaf pan I use. Cy Foster from Bountiful Kitchen was the one that recommended these, and they are fabulous. I got them on Amazon. There were complaints about them rusting out. So what I do is after I wash them, hand wash them, I'll dry them, and then I'll put them in the oven to like bake for about 10 minutes on about 350, and just try to dry them out all the way so that they don't get rusty and gross, and they stay clean and nice, because those were some of the complaints I saw on Amazon. But they bake fabulously, so they're worth it. You just got to take that extra little step. Okay, so I use a scoop, an ice cream scoop, and I get these, you can get them anywhere. It's Liberty Wear, but I get them at, we have our local high school, or our local school district they sell kitchen items all year round. So one of these days I'm gonna go take you there and show you all the fun little things they sell. But you can get these scoops anywhere. This is a nice big scoop, and it's about the right size for a muffin. So you just, 1 little scoop of it per muffin. Ooh, look, I shorted that one out. And anyway, we're gonna do these, and then we'll fill the rest into a loaf pan. Okay, so there's my muffins. Now we're gonna pour them into the bread pan. Let me grab a clean spatula. Now with my bread pan, I used this Pam baking spray is like my all-time favorite. I'm not gonna lie, it smells divine. Like, I don't know what it is about it, but it smells so good. And it's got your flour and your Pam in one. I put it in, and then I actually wipe it because it can get a little goopy. So I wipe it down a little bit. And then this is what I use for my scoop. When I scoop it, I spray that just so it doesn't stick either when I do my ice cream scoop. So here we've got the rest of our batter. We're just gonna pour that in. Now see, I'm a little short batter. I probably should have done this first and then done my muffins, but that's okay. One thing also I like about the muffins is they cook so well, whereas sometimes banana bread can be tricky in that the top burns, and there are tricks around that, like you can put foil over it, so if it starts to brown too much but the inside's not done, you can do that, but sometimes the middle just doesn't cook as well. Whereas with muffins, because they're smaller, they bake so evenly and they're just delicious. So I'm gonna actually put them both in the same oven, but we'll just cook the bread for longer. And then we're just gonna let those bake. Okay, so now our muffins are done. They were in the oven at 325 for 20 minutes. So the way you know is you can stick a toothpick down in the middle. If it comes out clean, you know your muffins are done, or your bread. So our bread is going to have a few more minutes. So as soon as that comes out, I'll let you know the time on that. And obviously it's gonna vary depending on your altitude, your oven. I cooked with an electric oven for most of my life until about 5 years ago when we got a gas. So I'm not gonna lie, I love to cook with it on top. I don't love baking with it. So there was a learning curve for sure with baking in a gas oven. If I had to do it again, I would actually love a built-in with the electric ovens and the gas top range, but I'd probably do electric if I were to do it again, just because I bake so much and there was a learning curve. But anyway, so know your oven, get to use it, but this will be about 20 minutes for the muffins, and then the bread will come out in a few minutes. Okay, so here's our banana bread. This took about 50 minutes at a 325 degree oven. Look how lovely golden brown it is. For a minute I was worried it was going to get too brown, so I put some foil on top of it for a couple minutes. Put my toothpick in, came out clean. Oh, delicious, yummy banana bread, banana muffins. My kids will be in heaven. And those brown bananas didn't go to waste. They got used for a good purpose.